Make sure that you put it's quarter 1, week 4, your name, your period, and it's Monday, because this way I know where to look for my, for this week's quiz. I'm gonna use these, notes to help. Number 1, what time is 7.5 hours before 2:12 a.m.? We had a problem kind of like this last week. Well, we're dealing with time. If we want to know something before, so I needed to have it before 2:12 a.m. And I want 7.5 hours, so I'm going to subtract it because I want it before it. And 7 hours and a half, how many would be a half an hour? So I'm going to put my 30 minutes here. Just by looking at this, I cannot take 2 minus 7, right? Because I'm not going to deal with negative time in hours. So what we do here, like last week we changed it from military time to standard time. We're going to change it from our standard time to military time. So to do that, you just add 12 to the hours. So now that became 14:12 minus 7 hours and 30 minutes. Now, I cannot take 12 minutes minus 30 minutes because there's not enough minutes to take away. So I have to borrow a full hour. So now I'm left with 13 hours. If I'm taking an hour, I'm adding it to minutes. So how many minutes are in an hour?
60.
60. Put a box around that. So now I've got 72 minutes. Can I take 72 minus 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 72 minus 30 is
48.
42. And then 13 minus 7 is 6. And if it was AM, that's really like what we consider in the middle of the night because it's after midnight. But so it would be 6:42 p.m. There's your final answer. I'm okay with you guys skipping that one because it got a little bit confusing, but you should have at least put that you started with 2:12 a.m. minus 7 hours and 30 minutes. You should have at least set the problem up.
I didn't know about that other.
How to do it this way?
Yeah, but and I also started with 2:15 because I wrote it down wrong.
Okay.
And yeah, I was like, screw that.
Okay, there's different ways of doing it. Like some people would write the hours down. Some people will do it by looking at a clock. This is a way that you can do it without looking at a clock or writing a pattern. So number 2, you had to have 2 numbers to multiply to get to 36, and those same numbers have to add to get to 12. So what can I multiply
6.
to get to 36?
6.
6 and 6.
6 and 6, and then 6 plus 6 is 12.
So that's
3. Factors are what you multiply at this point. Again, like I said last week, you should not be missing these. 1 and
28.
28. It's an even number. So 2 and
14.
14. 8 plus 2 is 10, and 10 cannot be divided by 3, so it's not going to be a 3. But 4 and
7.
then my numbers in between would just be 5 and 6, and they don't work. So 1 and
44.
44, it's an even number, so 2 and
22.
22. 3 doesn't work because 4 plus 4 is 8, and 8 cannot be divided by 3. 4 and
11.
11. 5, no, because it doesn't end in 5 or 0. 6, no, because it has to be divisible by 3. 7, nope. 8, nope. 9, nope. 10.
No.
So then you circle what they have in common. The 1s,
The 2s.
the 2s,
And the 4s.
and the 4s, and that's all you had to do. It did not ask for the greatest common factor, it just asked us what they had in common.
Just the common factor.
And the next number used a graph, and I'll be honest, this graph is wrong. 5 plus a negative 7 and 5/10. When you're dealing with integers, you always start at 0 and you go to your first number. That's a positive 5. So I'm gonna start at 0 and I'm gonna go up to my positive 5. Now, if I was just adding a positive number, I would start up here and keep going to the right. But I'm adding a negative number, and negatives go to the left. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna go a negative 7.5. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They didn't go a whole number, did they? 7, and then there's my half.
Are you serious?
So this is where my answer really should have been, and your answer should have been a negative 2.5.
I did negative
I-
2.
But now I'm going to show you on paper
Can you do keep change?
how to do it. I'm going to show you on your paper how to do it. You have to be able to read it from a graph and do it on paper. You have to know both. So our problem was 5 plus a negative 7.5. With integers, and I'm adding, if one's positive, one's negative, you just subtract the numbers. So I'm going to subtract the numbers. And I get 2.5, and I'm going to take the sign of the bigger number. Well, 7 is greater than 5, so it is a negative. Keep change is for subtracting integers, not adding. Number 5, over the course of 4 days, the price of stock at Acme Corporation fell $28. What was the average change in stock per day? I told you guys, if you ever see per day, it's either multiplying or dividing. Well, what's my amount that it fell?
28.
28, and how many days?
4.
And I wanna figure out each day, right? So all you do is take $28 for 4 days, which is 7. It's just an easy division problem. You guys looked at it and you saw words and you didn't read it. 6. I don't need you to redraw the pictures on your paper,
Thank you.
but I do need to have you tell me what this fraction is.
2 fifths.
2/5, and what's this fraction?
1/4.
So then you rewrite it on your paper.
Then you
2/5 divided by 1/4, and then we do, what do we do?
Change flip.
Keep change flip, so 2/5 times, and instead of saying flip, we're gonna get learning to say
Or whole.
reciprocal.
Or reciprocal.
Reciprocal. When you flip it, you're finding the reciprocal.
So keep changing.
I cannot reduce anything, so I just multiply. 2 times 4 is 8, 5 times 1 is 5. Don't leave it as an improper fraction, so I need to change it. 8 divided by 5 is 1. 8 minus 5 is 3, so there's 3 left, so it's 1 and 3 fifths.
I got it right.
7, you're solving this equation, so you're rewriting it. So let's say I got to 7 and I didn't know how to do it. Well, at least you could have written the problem down. And at least you can write down a line through that equal sign. Those are steps that you can do. Now I want you to put a box around the 2y because we're gonna say stop, don't move, you're staying put. Because we want y to be away from everything else.
Yep.
So that means I have to move this 5. When I move it across the equal sign, I change it from subtraction to addition. So now I'm gonna add 5, and I do have to do it to both sides. Now I'm gonna put a squiggly line because that means those 5 cancel each other out. And I'm gonna put my equal sign. So now I have 20 equals 2y. Y is still left with something. So this is like multiplying 2 times y. So I have to do the opposite because I'm gonna bring that 2 across that equal sign. So what's the opposite of multiplying?
Dividing.
So I'm gonna divide by 2, divide by 2. Squiggle line through those 2's because they cross each other out.
Combined by itself.
10, or 20 divided by 2 is 10, and it equals y. Now, y is all alone, so now I've gone as far as I can go.
Is it okay if we put y equals 10 instead of 10 equals
Yep.
y? Okay, good.
And it probably is best to rewrite it y equals 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 8. To join a local square dancing program, Jan has to pay a $100 sign-up fee plus $25 per month. Write an equation for the cost y based on the number of months. So I'm writing an equation. So I have a startup fee of $100. Then that word
Plus.
plus. So I'm gonna write on my line paper as I read through this. Y equals, well, thank you. Y equals my $100 plus, then it's $25 per month. Do I know how many months?
No.
It tells me right here, the number of months is X. So it's plus 25 X. I do not have to solve for that equation. All I had to do was set up the equation.
Oh.
So you need to take a picture of your work. Today is September 14th, Monday.